Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we will be doing all July wrap up. Wow, that's crazy. Let's start with, did I get through my physical TBR? Well, not my physical TBR, but my July TBR. I put a total of 9 books on there, and I read a total of 7 of them. The 2 I have yet to read were Ship of Spells. I just decided to return that one to the library. And then Fallen Stars, which I might get to during this month. I still have a few days left, and I know I can definitely finish it in that time. I felt like recording this before the month was over, so I can get a head start. The amount of books I read this month were 12. I read 12 books this month. I read 4,796 pages. My genres were 4 fantasy, 3 thrillers, 3 romance, 1 historical, and 1 lit RPG. Let's get into them. Also, I'm realizing, I guess we're going backwards. I thought I organized these in order, but I realized I organized them in the opposite order. So this one, I finished last night. Beneath a Scarlet Sky is a historical romance. You follow this, he's such a lover boy. He's a lover boy. His name is Pino Lela, and he just so happens to get hired by, what was his name? Oh, I'm bad at names, especially man's names. What is his name? He gets hired by a man named Lyles because he's able to fix a car really well. I didn't find that part super believable. I was like, you're not gonna background check this man? But it is according to a real life story, and according to Pino Lela's words, I believe, I don't know if it's Mark Sullivan who interviewed him or if it was like somebody Mark Sullivan knows, but they became very good friends, and then he wrote this book about his experience that Pino told him about. My thing was, I was like, you're falling in love with a girl you just met, and like you love her so much even though you just saw her face, and I'm like, maybe it was just like that back in the day. I don't know. And it's hard to judge this book because it is a real life story, and I really found that interesting. And having those conversations with my fiance, who's really into history, about what was happening in this book, I found really interesting. But I just couldn't believe the story. And also, my other thing was the pacing felt really off. Like, the beginning was super slow, and like, I was expecting something more intense. Like, I've recently started The Nightingale, and that's like, the pacing's really good. Like, you're like, wow, that's crazy. I can't believe that's happening. But like, in this one, I'm like, you're just going to the mountains? You're just hiding away? Now we're just driving around this man's car, and then somehow, someway, he knows, Anna? Lyles knows Anna? How? This man must have just had, like, a really lucky life. I don't know. I just, like, and that was the only thing pulling me out of it, and I feel so bad because it is this man's story, and I think it's an interesting story, but I don't think it needed to be 500 pages. I don't know. Maybe this isn't the genre for me, maybe this isn't the book for me. Something I did find interesting, if you are that kind of person, was this has a huge relation to faith, and he always was brought back to his faith. I'm not a really big religious person, so it wasn't like, oh wow, that's crazy in my head. I was like, that's just what happens when you're at war. You need something to believe in. But if you are super into like your faith and stuff, I think this is a great book to pick up. Because those themes are strong in this book. And like God watching out for you is strong in this book. Those are very strong themes. And then, before I read that, I read Along Came Amor. This is the last book in the Primas of Power series. I'm so sad to see this book end. This book was the one that made me want to read the rest of the series, because I originally read this. I read the first 100 pages not realizing that this was the first book in the series. And it opens up in the best scene ever. Oh, it's so good. If you need a spicy good time, I think that this has one of my favorite spicy scenes ever. I also love the way Alexis Daria highlights Latinx culture and what it's like dating in Latinx families, the way they're so involved in your life, but also you feel responsible for what you like. Your actions feel like they directly relate to your family, and like you have to be this perfect person. And she kind of explores how to like escape that cycle and how these characters escape that cycle. I really appreciated that. The plot to this book, I should probably tell you about it, other than the things I really loved about it. This starts off, she is at a conference and she's just trying to have a fun time. You know, she's been stuck up. She's trying to be this perfect person for her family. And she just doesn't want to do it anymore. She's so tired. So she decides to take herself down to the bar. And usually she'd get like a plain white wine or something. But this time she decides to try a nasty lemon drink. And he's there acting as the bartender. He's like, "That's absolutely disgusting. Why are you drinking that?" Turns out he's the owner, and he's like, "Come up to my room and let's have a one-night stand." So it starts off as a one-night stand and kind of like a friends with benefits situation. But then she doesn't realize it, but they have to plan her cousin's wedding together. And so it's kind of forced proximity. You're watching them work together. You're watching what their dynamics like and how they're growing with each other. I really appreciated and like, well, they're planning it in Puerto Rico, so it's kind of like a vacation-y lead. I really loved it. And before I read that, I read She Rides Shotgun. This is such a fun read. If you need something quick, something easy, something you can sit down and read in a day without thinking, without speculating, just like, I want to have a fun, good time, She Rides Shotgun is your book. Jordan Hopel, the way he writes, I love. Especially for a thriller. It's kind of gruesome, but in a good way. And you feel like you're watching all these crazy things go down. In this one, you're following a young girl named Polly. She is about 11 or 12, and she holds this little teddy bear, which I think is really cute. And and her dad gets out of prison, and he finds out that there's this gang trying to kill his family. So to protect his daughter, who's the only one left alive, they go on the run, and she rides shotgun. But then you watch her, she's like, "I want to come with you," so she learns to fight. And it's very much like your typical action movie, but in a book format. And I think it was so fun. Because I've definitely read your average thriller where you're like, "Oh, what's going to happen next?" This isn't that. This is an action movie put into a book. And I loved it so much. And back to the teddy bear, she makes the little teddy bear like fight. Or like, if there's something gross going on, she'll like make the teddy bear move its little arm and go like this. She's so cute, and the way she develops and the relationship her and her dad develops throughout this book was so cute, and like it makes you happy inside. Like, I didn't know at first if I was supposed to be rooting for this guy, but by the end I was like, oh yeah, the like awesome dynamic duo. Yes, give it to me. I loved it so much. This is actually one of my top 3. This is my second top 3. You'll see my last top 3 in a second. Then before that, I read Daddy Issues. In this book, you follow, what's her name? Sam Pulaski. She has no idea what she's doing with her life. She's just kind of going along for the ride. She feels very stuck. She's living in her mom's, what is it called? Like sunroom. She graduated during the pandemic, so that's also making her feel lost. And her daily routine is she wakes up, she does her thing. I don't want to say it out loud right now. And then she goes to the pool. But one day, as she's people watching, this dad shows up, and usually the dads, they just play on their phone and pretend like they care about their children. But this dad was really involved, and she kind of admired that. And then this is his daughter was like, hey, come play with me. So then she goes to play with her. And they kind of start developing a friendship from there. And you watch both Sam and the Dable. I don't remember this man's name at all. I told you I'm bad at men's names. I can remember a woman's name pretty easily. Men's names, absolutely not. Anyways, they're both in a state of being lost. And they kind of find themselves within each other, which isn't my favorite concept ever. But I think they did some great growing. And not to spoil anything, but the ending, you kind of see them develop independently and then come back together. And that is something I really appreciate. All of this felt very real. Honestly, it kind of made me want to DNF because I was like, this is reminding me of all my like worries in life in like one book. I don't need to think about it right now. But it did feel very real, and I felt like this could be a real couple in real life that I was reading about and not just characters in a book. I also loved the ending. I love the way it was like it was cute. I don't want to spoil it, but it was really cute. I also read this in a day. If you could tell, I read most of these in a day. Other than like once I get to the beginning, I was very slow in the beginning of the month, but then the end of the month I was day per book. Yeah, that was all of the ones I've showed you so far. I've read in a day. Let me check real quick. The next book I don't have physically because I borrowed it from the library. But the next book is Rose in Chains. I'm like, imagine me having war flashbacks right now because I am. Oh, this book was crazy. And I had such a problem with that man. So essentially, you're following this young woman. What was her name? I know she was supposed to be Hermione. And the other guy's supposed to be Draco. I have never actually watched or read Harry Potter. But I've always hated Draco. I was never one of them girls thirsting after Draco. That was not my man at all. So you follow. I'm just gonna call them by what the name is supposed to be. Hermione. She has this kingdom. The kingdom gets taken down. I forget by who. She gets sold at a slave auction, and Draco buys her. This whole book felt nasty to me because I needed that man to speak up. Like, do you see what's happening? This is a fantasy book. I don't need you to be realistic in trying to save her. Flipping save her and save the rest of them. This is disgusting. And okay, so usually if a book can make me keep thinking about it, it's like an instant 5-star. But like this book also made me so angry that I don't want to give it 5 stars. And like it was depressing. I don't Can you tell I have trauma? Can you tell the amount of trauma this gave me? And I read this book in a day. I don't know if you've read this book or you've read any Hermione fan fiction that's similar to this. This was not a book meant to be read in a day. Why did I read it in a day? I was filming a whole video. It was going fine until I read Rose in Chains. And now I can't post it because Rose in Chains fully ruined me. And I couldn't look at a book for like 3 days, which is crazy for me, considering I read it every single second I get. Also, sorry to headphone users. I got some beef with this book. I might make a reel just off of my reactions of this book because this was crazy. And I genuinely, from that video I didn't post, I have a 9-minute clip of me ranting about this man. And I mean, I finished it. Did I want to finish it? Not really. It made me not want to care about them anymore because he was making me so angry that it's like, this is taking over my life at this point. I am debating reading the second book, though, because it seems like it's gonna get better. And it seems like he kind of figured out something or other. And the ending of what I read was kind of like, oh, that was nice of you, but like, you could have done something earlier. Jeez. Can you get your life together? Moving on to happier on. What is it called? Greener Grasses. Moving on to Greener Grasses. We read Carl's Doomsday Scenario. So much better. I love Donut. Oh, she gives me so much serotonin. If you don't know what Carl's Doomsday Scenario is, he wakes up one night to call the cat back in, walks outside. Turns out the world's crumbling down, and it becomes a trials-based competition, TV competition. And you're following this talking cat named Donut and this man named Carl. I assume most of you know what this book is about. In this one, you're following them as they go through level 3. I really loved. So the first book, obviously, you're setting up. This is an 8-book series. There's a lot of depth to it, and you gotta like really get into the nitty gritty. That first book was still really good, and if you want to try out the series, I definitely recommend it. They're very fast-paced reads, and I've read both of these books physically. I know people love the audiobooks. But for the books I really love, I like to just read them on paper first. It makes it so I'm paying attention the whole time, and I'm not like doing things and then like, oh, what happened? But in this book, you really saw the character development. You saw more of the political aspects. You saw the mind tricks that Donut and Carl are kind of playing together to get the overhand on, do they call it the company? I don't know what they call it in this book, but like essentially the company. And I really love that, and I can't wait for the next book, and I'm already looking at buying it, even though I have no money to my name. But I love this series. It's so much fun. 10 out of 10. Recommend. Here's another book I didn't like. It started off that video. The video will. So essentially the idea was I was going to read for however many hours the dice told me. So I read this in that video. That's never going to make it to see the light of day. You'll see that that's a pattern with a lot of these books. And if it wasn't that, it was me trying to recover from that video. Anyways, how are you meant to fall in love with a man in 7 days? How are you revealing all your secrets? Should I tell you what this book is about before I go off on a rant? Meredith, I can't flip and say her name. Meredith Fox. The summer before she goes to college, having just lost her long-term boyfriend to a breakup and her sister to death, she goes to Martha's Vineyard for a wedding where she finds out she's playing assassin and gets teamed up with the groom's brother for the next week. The groom's brother is the love interest in this book. Okay. I'll tell you the positives about this book. I love the sisterly dynamic. You could really tell that she really loved her sister, and I loved that. The assassin game was kind of fun. But also, like, half the book, she was stuck being like, but I love him. Go, kill him. Pew pew. Maybe I shouldn't do that in a YouTube video. I don't know if I'm gonna have to censor that. I don't know what YouTube's laws are. But pew pew. It's the name of the game. If me and my fiance were playing, he'd be dead. Love him so much, but pew pew. Jeez. And then, how are you meant to fall in love with this man in in 7 days, and then proceed to be like, no, but I want to run off with him, Mom. I'm not going to college. I want to run off with him. Go get your life together. I'm sorry, but if I had a child and she was like, I want to run off with this man I met 7 days ago, absolutely not. Under no circumstances. At least a year before you decide to, like, make life-changing decisions together. Let him go live his life. You guys can come back next summer. You could have even made this into a book, too. Like, you didn't need to fall in love in 7 days. Also, like, I feel like this book would have worked if it was, like, a second chance romance. Something like that. Well, like, there is backstory. The, like, little backstory we got was the sister recommended him and, like, wanted them to be together because they had the same sense of humor. You're not falling in love with somebody just because of the humor. I am so sorry, but there's so much more to life. Yeah, I love giggling and chatting, but if all you have to give me is we laugh together, go get your life together. Get your life together. Jeez. I wrote it made me giggle, but that's not what I remember about this book at all. I think I was giggling at how cringy it was. Okay, and here's the other thing. It's not a bad book. I'm not hating on people whose taste this is. It's not my taste. It's too young. And it is a young adult, so I'm not gonna criticize it. But I just criticized it. If you like young adult romances, something that's just a fun, silly, good time, you can easily read these pages. Like, look at how little words are on those pages. Go right ahead. Enjoy. Have so much fun. This was not for me. I need, why are we doing this? Who is this man? Do you even know this man other than, hey, he's cute and he kisses good? Moving on. The order of these next few are going to be a little out of order just because of what they are and whatever. The next book is Things We Do in the Dark. You're following Paris, a woman named Paris, who is found in her bathroom, and it looks like she had just killed her husband. Now, is this what happens? Not even she knows. Or maybe she doesn't want to admit it. You kind of are a little unsure about what's being said, what's not being said. And then you're also following a podcaster. There's another storyline where you're following a podcaster, and they kind of intertwine. This is a thriller, so I really don't want to give you that much about it. I really enjoyed this. I think it tied up well. I think this isn't the kind of thriller that's going to have you on the edge of your seat, right? This is going to be like, wow, those threads were woven really well. And I really appreciate the way these stories are intertwining. And that it was crazy in the sense that it all worked out. And the way it worked out was like, it was just perfect, you know? The author really thought about it. And from things that happen in the beginning, you see come back at the end, and there was a reason behind all these actions. And I enjoy a thriller like that. I don't want a thriller where I'm like, there's absolutely no possibility in that happening. I would prefer a thriller that I can predict, that I know where that came from, rather than a thriller that's like, well, that just got pulled out of somebody's butthole. So this was good. I don't really have that much to say about it, I don't think. It was fun. This one I did audiobook. I used Libby for it. Really enjoyed the audiobook. It was a great fun time. I don't have that much to say about it, I don't think. And obviously I don't want to do any spoilers for that book. Before I talk about our last two books, I'm going to talk about Percy Jackson before I forget about it. We all know what Percy Jackson's about. I read, which one was it? Percy Jackson and the Sea of Monsters. which is book 2 in that series. It was fun. I loved following them around. I also listened to that one on audiobook. They're saving the friend. What's his name? I don't know his name. I know Pulse's name because it's the name of the. And then those, not Meredith. Oh, I don't know his whole name. Can we tell I'm bad at names? And then these last 2 books you will be seeing very soon, or maybe not very soon. At some point in the future, in a full spoiler reading vlog, we read what's currently out of the Moonfall series. The Ballad of the Falling Dragons. This was my first read through of it. It was so fun. I love the way Sieria Polka writes. It's so beautiful, and it makes you want to highlight every single sentence. My only complaint is how thin these pages are. If you don't know what the Moonfall series is about, you're following this young woman named Rave. She is an assassin. There's the elemental magic that's based on these dragons. That's all I want to tell you. Because me going into these books blind, I had 0 expectations for them. Sieria Polka blew them out of the water, and I can't wait to get started on her previous series because I just love her writing. I think it's so beautiful. It is the kind of writing where your brain needs to be on. You can't zone out in these books. They're great books. And even if you don't know what's happening in the current moment, she ties it all together so beautifully, and those reasoning behind everything, and you get answers to everything. And the relationships she builds. And also, well, one, morally great FMC. I'll tell you that. Morally great FMC. And then a book husband, not a book boyfriend, a book husband. Yes, please, give me more. Give me more. Sieria Polka, give it to me all. Please. So great. Did I tell you this is my top book of July of 2026? Good stuff. Good stuff. Loved. If you want more in-depth thoughts and my active reactions to these books, it will be posted in this. I don't know when. I have it recorded and edited and ready to go up. I have it planned out when they're gonna go up, but great stuff. Good stuff. Loved. 10 out of 10. And those, these are my physical books. Those 12 books are all the books I read in the month of July 2026. Thank you so much for listening to me rant and rave. I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys later. Bye!